G'day diggers. Is this Agenda 21 at work? I say yes. Bushfire experts say it's time to revisit Black Saturday recommendations and stop people rebuilding in highly dangerous areas. So that sounds like we're forcing people out of the bush and where they have to go into the cities. This bloke here rebuilt after his fire in Black Saturday. He couldn't do it on his own, so the community rallied behind him. So we start with a nice positive story and then switches to a negative story line narrative. The long road to rebuilding after a bushfire is a different experience for everyone. Some, like him, describe it as cathartic and uplifting. Others find it traumatic and expensive. So, essentially, Melbourne University fire ecologist Kevin Tolhurst said there were some areas of the Australian bush where houses should never have been built or rebuilt. If it comes as a surprise, not only do they have the trauma of losing things through fire and the trauma of not being able to rebuild adds to that problem. And up here, people shouldn't be surprised that if a house burns down, they're not going to be allowed to rebuild because that property has perhaps already been identified as one that's in a place that's too dangerous to live. It's got Agenda 21 written all over it. It goes on about this Royal Commission where the Premier, the politicians didn't accepted everything except the voluntary buyback. So in the 1960s began a compulsory buyback, which this fellow, the fire ecologist, says needs to be adopted. So compulsory buybacks, forcing people off the land. All right, so that's basically the gist of it. You can go in. They bring on the Kangaroo Island. That's heavily pushed how terrible that was, and of course it was terrible. Still ongoing terrible, but it's a national park. They're saying that we should just leave it alone. We shouldn't be building there. People shouldn't be there. It's too dangerous. All right, so Agenda 21. Ramping up for Agenda 2030. We got 10 years, folks. Shiver me timbers.